Hello, everybody. This is your host, Vinyl Man Jebb, for the second Fore N Aft cast, and we're here with Michael. Hello, Michael. Michael, tell me about yourself and what you've been
Hi, how
doing
are you?
with the Fore N Aft stuff and how long that's been around, and we'll start off from there.
Yeah, I guess they call me the brainchild of
There we
this.
go.
The Foreign Aft was a bar back in the actually it started in the late 50s, 60s, 70s, and the mid 80s. They wind up closing all their locations. I happened to work there from 76 to about 78 and a half is when I left. Um, a lot of great bands. How I got a job there was really funny. We played. I was playing. Um, I played for a football team, college football team in Waterbury, Connecticut, Manitowoc Community College, and we played against WestCon that day, Western Connecticut State College in Danbury, and I grew up in Carmel, New York, and I happened. It was a home game at WestCon, and after the game, I stayed back and partied with my friends, and we happened to go out to the Fore and Aft that night.
There
So
you
I
go.
walked in there with my practice jersey, and the owner Tony grabbed me by my arm, and he goes, "Did you play in today's football game?" I said, "Matter of fact, I did." And he wind up offering me a job at
Oh,
that
that's
point.
awesome. Well, that's something different. Just walk in and
Yeah,
get a job. Perfect. Wish it was that
you
easy
like the way?
nowadays, right?
Yeah, I guess there was a little more to it. There was a guy standing at the door. His name is Tony Galera Gonzo. They called him real big guy, and he was on crutches. So when I went to pay my mission charge at the door, Tony says, "No, you can go right in. And by the way, I think you probably know this guy behind you." And I didn't see him when I walked in, and it was a guy in crutches. And it happened that I wind up putting him out of the football game that day.
Yeah, everybody after everybody's meeting and everything. That's great. So you mentioned that a lot of bands played. So what bands in particular? Like I know all of them. I know my dad saw Entwistle at the Fore and Aft from the Who, which was incredible. But there's so many, right? Tons of different
Oh,
from
tons.
local names all the way to big names, which is insane. But from what you remember, like what comes to your head when you mentioned Fore and Aft bands, like and all that, like the ones that have been at the festivals too, which are awesome.
Yeah, like the biggest. It started out the local bands. You had Quick Draw, and you had Steeplechase, Southern Cross, of course the Good Rats, Rat Race Choir, Sapphire was one of my favorite bands.
Jimmy,
They're local guys, Jimmy Heslin,
yeah.
and all the boys there. Um, um, and then one night, it happened that their first night, I believe it was a Wednesday night, and Twisted Sister was their first night that they played up at the Fore and Aft. And the first set, Dee Snyder came out as, Twisted Sister Dee
Yeah.
Snyder with all the garb on and the makeup and the spandex pants. And the owner grabbed me. I was a bartending at that time. I was, I think, walking around picking up glasses, and he grabbed me. He goes, "Hey, do me a favor, go up there and tell him take those spandex off and put on a pair of jeans." And so I was like, "You turn around, really? You want me to tell him that?" And he says, "Yeah, yeah." So as I got halfway up to the stage, he grabs me and he goes, "No, you see that guy? He's going to be something else. That guy's going to be a star." He
And
goes,
then yeah, definitely D
and
Snyder, and look at
sure
him now.
shit,
I mean, he's a radio host, everything,
yeah.
and he's amazing. D's one of my favorites, and to go back and I love Twisted Sister too, which is so cool that like a local bar, in the New York area, and to be able, and I think it was cool because you had the Connecticut scene and you had the New York scene. And my dad was saying like the drinking age kept changing, so you go up there, the New York didn't change, but Connecticut did, and it was like everybody wanted to go, up there, and they'd spend time at the Fore and Aft, in the different locations to a White Plains, and then they had the Brewster one, which is the one my dad went to, and it's just really cool to have the the
Yeah.
tourism thing, and then to be the dive bar, the ultimate dive bar, from what I'm reading and trying to dig up as much information as I can, and all the different, because you have like bands like Fast Fingers and trying to think of some other ones. I mean, you have like Doug Wahlberg and Rick Tedesco with all the stuff he's been doing, and had him on the show last time for the first episode. So it was really cool to be able to reach with these guys, and then you go to the festivals at which you have been planning and having all this stuff with Julie there and everything, having the first two there. And I got the jacket. And
Yeah, and I'll
signed in
tell
the
you how
jacket.
that. Yeah, I'll tell you how that all came about.
Perfect.
You know, somebody years ago posted a Fore N Aft Facebook page, and you know, people leave comments there all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I remember this, I remember that, I remember, and you know, I posted one time, I remember meeting my first wife there. So, as I was bartending one night, and we'll get into that later, but so I just happened to post one night, how about getting a little reunion together? And I was looking for a couple of the people that I worked with, the bartenders, and a couple days later, you know, Julie Shaker gives me a call, and she goes, "What's on your mind?" And I go, "Yeah, I want to have a backyard barbecue, invite a bunch of people over. You know, I have a band that wants to play, that played back in the day, and you know, they're willing to, you know, maybe we can raise a couple of dollars, pass the hat around for charity." And she goes, "Did you see the Fore N Aft page yet? You know, since you made that comment?" I go, "No." And she goes, "A couple of hundred people have already chimed in and says, when is it going to be?" I go, "Well, I guess we're going to have to look for a bigger place."
Yeah.
You know?
And then you got the Ives Park,
And,
which is perfect.
you know, yeah, you know, it's a little expensive. It's tough to handle. It's a hit and miss with the weather up there. But
I know
we've
the
been
first
pulling her
festival
off
did better than the second, I was told.
Yeah.
Which was bumming for me, because the second one, like, it always seemed like I really was excited to see the Good Rats and stuff like that, and definitely excited to meet the Alice Cooper guys. I can't tell you how extreme that was. I mean, they signed, like, Dennis signed my jacket, and Michael Bruce, who are people I look up to in music history. I mean, these are Hall of Famers, which is insane. And it was really cool that they're all just chilling there and just talking to fans, and then Rick is just the nicest guy, and it's like, oh my god, this is awesome.
When we got to be able to pull that off, and I don't think people realize that this band as a whole was the original members from 1974. You know,
that's the stuff I love. I mean, Alice is great, and I saw him live, and he still puts on a fantastic show. But it wasn't just one guy back; it was like a bunch. You know, it was a band. Alice Cooper was the band. You know, and then it became later. I'm reading Michael Bruce's book that he wrote, the biography that he was selling, and I bought it, and I've been reading it, and it's so interesting. Like all the stuff they went through working with Zappa and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, and how they came up with the name Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
You know, it was, you know, before Alice, it was those guys. So, you know, they wind up really having a good time that night. You know, we were closing the park, and they were still standing around telling stories. You know, at 2:00 in the morning. It's incredible. It was, you know,
and it was just cool. A kid like me who enjoys doing podcasts with all different types of artists, and also, you know, learning the scene, because I'm a musician myself, and to be able to talk to Dennis Dunaway, one of my favorite bass players, and he's the nicest guy, and then Michael Bruce, and also, you know, and to have like all of them. I wish Neil came out more, but Neil was at the first festival, which was amazing, and I got a signature on one of the albums, so it was cool. It's definitely awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, if we could pull this next one over, there's a bunch of bands that haven't played yet.
Yeah.
That are really online.
Stuff like that.
A couple of the players from Fast Fingers, they're not around as a band, but you know, there's a couple of players that were in that band that have contacted me and play under different names, and we allow that. That's okay,
well, I remember Sapphire, like with Jimmy, they didn't have we had Sapphire at the second one, but didn't have him at the first one, and you had the idea, and it was good because it was like a super group. You had Rick Tedesco with Jimmy, and it was really cool that it was like, because they still played the stage. As long as they played the stage, I think was like the feeling. So it worked. It worked. It was a witch hunt, right? I think it was. Yeah. That was
witch hunt.
Cool. It was just something different, because, like, again, it was like my dad telling me these stories, and all of a sudden we see a festival. My dad's like, we got to go, because you never know who you're gonna see. You know, you never know memories and all the pictures, and just to see the times, because I like that time period, the 70s, 80s, and the music back then.
people still come up to me. Did you see who was there? Did you see this guy walking around and that guy? And and so we got to keep it going.
Definitely.
Like I said, it's about a festival, a music festival.
And it's great because everybody's involved, and then there's kids like me getting into it who are 20. I mean, I wasn't there. I mean, there's no way I could have been there, and I can't even drink yet. But it's great to be the history and the music scene, and I think it's going to have that turn in history to have this whole session and to have these festivals, and I'm glad that, they had the second one, and hopefully, definitely a third one would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Be amazing.
It's like the battle of the bands.
Yeah.
With
a bunch of historical cover bands, which is amazing. And originals, and original guys, too, which is awesome.
And original.
Yeah, definitely.
I was just talking with the guys from Stars.
Ooh.
They're on the list. Two of the guys live out of the country, so they're trying to make arrangements. But three of the guys will be on stage this year with a couple of special guests too.
Yeah, if you need any help from me, just fill me in with what you need. I can post through the podcast.
You're dialed in.
I'm ready, because that's why I'm trying to do that once a month. Have this Fore N Aft cast to kind of erase and then something different from my normal
awareness.
Talking to awareness, definitely. Because usually I'm talking to artists, like I got to meet Puppet's drummer recently and some other big names, but it's nice to have just this festival of rock.
Well, give them my number. Give them my number, and if they have a band we can put together, I still have room.
I mean, I wish I played, because I would play. I would definitely play. I wish I was there.
Maybe you could jam with somebody.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Let me know. I'd be down. I've been playing. I know all the Stones songs. I know a ton of covers. I'm trying to get into Crystal Bees. Crystal Bees is a great venue. A lot of the Fore N Aft guys should go try to play Crystal Bees. It's a fantastic venue. That Eric Smith that runs it's really cool, and he does all cover nights and stuff. They want tribute bands, which is perfect for the Doug and all them. And Doug's great too, and Rick, I got to go up to his store and actually talk to him for a little bit, and got a signed album and paid for it. It was just an amazing experience that these guys are still giving back, and I mean, everybody loves the jacket. I can't get over it enough. Everywhere I wear that jacket a lot. Everywhere I go, I don't mind. And people that they think I'm older, they see the Fore N Aft, how do you have all these things? And it's no, the festivals, and they think because they see me from a distance, and then they see the jacket, and they're like, oh, these bands, I remember them. It's so cool.
Oh, yeah. So you wear T-shirts or sweatshirts out all the time.
Oh, yeah.
People grab you. How do you know that band? How do you know that bar?
Have you been there? It's no, I'm 20. I have not been there.
Is that still around?
Yeah. And then I tell them about. I always mention the festivals. I always bring up the festival, and I say, hey, keep it. If you have the internet, and check out on Facebook and all that, because it's something that we need. People, if they get involved, there's a ton more people that probably haven't even know about the festival yet. And it's fantastic, but it's in a good area, because Danbury's, most of the people from Danbury went to the Fore N Aft, which is perfect.
Yeah,
the Ives is nice.
It was a place that we can have. I love the atmosphere. I love the stage. It's a great venue to hold an outdoor concert. It really is.
And it was awesome. I know another experience too. I remember you saw me on the first festival that the Limelight guy brought me backstage, and we were just hanging, and I met the guy from SJO. The Black Sabbath cover band, and he just literally, and then Richie Scarlett came out of nowhere, and I was like, holy crap, I am in the middle of fame here. Richie is the nicest, and it was awesome just to be sitting there, and he signed the biggest signature on the jacket. And then recently, I went to a blues fest, and Murray the Wheel was there, and he saw my jacket, and he goes, I worked with Richie, and he goes, can I please sign it? And I was like, yeah, man. It was just cool to be bringing this jacket around. I always wear it to rock shows, and because you never know, and if they convince me that they've been there, it's like, but he goes, no, I know Richie personally, and I was like, that's awesome, and just all the links.
I'll probably have Richie back this year with a couple of special guests.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I grew up with Richie. I went to high school with him.
He's awesome. He's and I saw a couple of his records at a record fair. I'm like, oh, he's the real deal. It's amazing to all these rockers and all this time period and stuff. And I know there's been famous actresses and actors that have been to the Fore N Aft, like Linda Blair from the Exorcist series. My dad actually had a drink with her one time. He said there, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
different. And I think she was dating one of the guys from Fast Fingers at the time.
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
Bass player, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And she got her car stolen there one night.
Oh, geez. I know my dad found cassettes there one night. And, people get into fights, they throw the cassettes out the door. My dad got a bunch of metal bands that night, like Grim Reaper and all those, ones from New York, local scene. And it was just really cool. He goes, yeah, I just got them from the Fore N Aft. I'm like, nice. Oh, God. If somebody's looking for the cassettes, so I have them.
Well, you never knew what you found in that parking lot.
Nah, and it's so cool because like I mean, and then you got like bands like I was able to meet the main guy from Rat Race Choir that just recently passed away, Larry I think it was.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
he was just talking to me, and he was like, "You got it, kid." And I was like, "Whoa, that meant a lot to me." He signed like all the whole arm of the jacket, and he was talking to me. And I know Adam, for the drummer, the new drummer for Rat Race Choir.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was a teacher. He was a sub teacher one day in my high school, and he goes, "None of your parents." No, he goes, "None of you are gonna know what band I was part of." So I said, "Quiz me." Like I always inquire because I love when teachers don't want to like admit, you know. They're like, "Nah."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Quiz me," and he goes, "Rat Race Choir." I said, "Believe it or not, my dad has told me about the band, and I know about the Fore N Aft," and he was so shocked. And when he saw me there, I saw him coming. He goes, "I remember you," and I was like, "Yeah," because it's some kid that like actually remember. You know, I'm in eighth, ninth grade or freshman. It was probably no, it was sophomore year, so 10th. And I'm just like, this is awesome that I like know. Like he probably never expected a kid in 10th grade to know
Oh yeah.
Rat Race Choir, but it was just something interesting. And a lot of times it's just good to see these guys still making music because it's very important
Yeah,
because it's
it was
inspiration
a
for
shame
us.
about Larry. That
Yeah, definitely.
hit them
It
hard,
hit
you
me
know.
hard too because when I showed up at the second festival, it's like I was, you know, where he was sitting, and it hit me a little bit because I just met him. You know, I just got to know him, and it was cool talking to him on Facebook once in a while, and it was just really nice, you know. And then Jimmy there for the drummer there from SAJO there was really cool, and a lot of them now I'm in contact with because you never know if they need somebody to jam with or something. It's really cool. You can learn from them. And Doug and Rick are looking to do something with me too, so I'm saving up for
Oh,
that, which is
nice.
awesome. Yeah, I got
Very
an album
nice.
planned. I wrote out a lot of stuff, so it'd be cool to have Rick, you know, who's worked with Alice Cooper, and also Doug, who's worked with Jefferson Airplane and Air Starship and all that stuff, which is insane. And I'd love to just hear the stories and learn from them, and it's incredible.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely have to
For
keep. I'll,
sure.
I'll plug the website, guys. Check out the Fore N Aft stuff down below in the description on YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes, when it gets the chance, that'll be because it'll probably be a lot later from the episode because we do like a series run where we do the first it comes out on YouTube and that's where we promote it, and then after a while we re-promote the episode on iTunes everywhere else because it makes it so everybody gets a double chance to listen to it, and it's not too much forced podcast wise. But it's incredible to be able to have this music history all in one place. Another question I had for you. So you mentioned that you like met like a ton of, or you mentioned there was like more bands and stuff. Do you remember anybody other than like Twisted Sister that was bigger, like bigger around, like Twisted Sister at the time?
You know, a lot of guys split off and went on
Hmm.
their own. You know, I'm not a name guy.
Oh, okay, I
I'm
got you.
sure, I'm sure there's been a lot of people in there. I remember one night Peter Frampton showed up. Just
That's
he was having cocktails and he was cruising the area. He was living in Briarcliff at the
oh man,
time,
that's cool.
and he cruised in there. I think he was visiting my friend's brother-in-law Scott. Scott recorded, was the sound engineer on Frampton Live.
Oh
So
wow, that's a
he
fantastic
was
album in
up there
history.
visiting. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Without a
You
doubt.
know, I got tickets one night from Dickie Betts.
Ooh.
Showed up there one night, and I drove him back up to. It was the night before. I think they were playing New Year's Eve up in Hartford or
Oh
New
wow.
Haven. I forgot where it was. My mind is like. I've always thought about that, but I got six passes for the next day when we went up for the concert. It was either New Year's Eve or night before. It was around that time, and I wind up sitting on stage with those guys backstage. So that was
That's
a neat
incredible.
venture. I didn't even know it was Dickie Betts when I was serving him drinks all night. He was just sitting at the bar, nice and quiet.
It's like
You
hearing the
know.
story of like because I interviewed Frank Zappa's sister recently too, so I've been like reading up on Zappa and actually one of my bandmates, one of my ex bandmates at the time for now, but he's a great drummer, great friend of mine, and we just kind of went separate ways. But his father was telling me that one night Zappa was staying at one of his friend's house, so it's like it happens, you know, these artists just want to hang around, and it's really cool, you know, because these are big names. It's like Dickie Betts is one of the best. This is incredible. This is
Oh
really
yeah,
cool.
I mean, after the Ford Aft, I was living in Pauling, and a friend of mine who had a recording studio, and up in Millbrook, Richie was recording up there with a
Hmm.
bunch of guys, and all of a sudden I walked in, and there's Ace Frehley, as coming off a tour with Kiss.
Oh, it's incredible. It's like, and this is really cool. Like now, looking back at artists that go out and talk to their fans, look at Daryl Hall. You know, Daryl's place, and he's actually there at shows. Like I've heard that he's like in the audience and stuff, like just hanging. And I'm like, now I need to get up there. I need to meet this man. Probably not now because
Yeah,
they're on the reunion tours, but I love Hall & Oates. It's like this is incredible. And it's like
yeah, we
just
reached out to him. He didn't know with no luck. If you ever run into him, I
will
love to
do.
have
Yeah,
him on
I'm always
stage
looking
at
if anybody is in that. And with this Fore N Aft cast, I think that more people might show up. I'll mention the the festivals and tell them to reach out to you too. Like I know Doug has always got a lot of connections too, and Rick too, which is perfect.
Yep,
And I was
they're
thinking about
working
asking
on.
them as soon as we got going. You keep me posted on everything. I'll help you out
Yep,
definitely without a
yep.
doubt.
All right.
I'm good with talking to people. I guess that's my talent. I'm good with like trying to I'm working on an album, and it's currently got a lot of cool guest voice actors, and it's people that are in the music and they're just voice acting, and because they like the podcast they've been on, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this. They're like, sure, why not? We got nothing at the moment. Let's do it. I'm like, sweet. But it's a lot of cool bands from the 90s and stuff, or like singers and drummers and stuff. So it's really cool. But I like talking to all different types of music and keeping it going. So this podcast is perfect. And I like doing the
Yeah,
Fore N
it
Aft because it's
sounds fun.
something different. It's something that like I don't think people cover just one, a bar. And that's why it's great to have you on before Doug, because now I have more insight, on the bar. And I was listening to the show you guys did, I think, before the second festival with Ed Till down in
Yeah,
Florida, and I was like,
yeah,
wow, he's a really cool radio host. Shout out to Ed, because I really like your show. But I like how like he was asking a ton of questions, and it was really cool and I'll leave a link down below if I can find it again on YouTube. Link down below for you guys to check that out. Because it was something that it really explains a lot of like the decorations. I heard there's like fishnets hanging from the ceiling and stuff.
yeah. Fore and Aft actually is the name of a type of a boat,
Yeah.
and they searched all around there for boat yards for different things, and you walked in there was masks and nets and portholes, and I wish I was around at the time they dismantled everything, because there was a lot of cool stuff in that
Yeah, and they
bar.
probably would have been able to like have some cool like memories and keepsakes and shit if they were like selling them and everything.
Yeah,
But it's
I
like,
think
yeah.
when it changed hands, it all went into a dumpster.
And
You know,
I
it
think
was
it
like
became disco right afterwards. It was like a disco. I forget the name of the bar. My dad was telling
it
me.
was Polos.
Polos, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
my dad was mentioning, because I know I-95 started doing a whole article right up with the Fore N Aft Festival coming in again, and that's awesome that they're now being aware of it, because all of those guys, all those radio hosts have been there. I know for a definite. That's like the timing and the age group is perfect. Like I-95 and all them, Ethan and
Oh,
Lou.
they all
Yeah,
started there.
yeah,
I
which is
mean,
amazing.
I-95 wouldn't be where it was, I don't think, if it wasn't for the Aft.
That's true, because they
You
had all the
know.
bands there and everything too, and just
Oh,
it
all
was
the
amazing.
DJs worked there at
Oh,
night, and
cool.
you know, and they all started. They were all there, and the connections all around, and the college. Matter of fact, one of the board members of the Ives itself, Dennis McDonald, he
Ah,
played in a band. You should have him on.
oh,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, he played in a band at the Fore and Aft when he was, right out of college, and he came up to me and he goes, I don't have a band. Well, I have a band now, but I didn't have the band, but I did play, and it's called Good Time Charlies, and they were one of the best sounding bands of the day. The last
Yeah, the first
concert.
was the first one, right? Was that the
No,
first
it
or
was the
second?
second
Second
one.
one. Okay,
They
yeah,
played
so
in
many
the
bands. I'm
second
trying to
one.
remember. That's right. And
They played early, but they're a real good band. And
yeah,
we had 9 bands, and I couldn't even say who was 1 to 9. They
yeah.
all put on their game faces.
I like
They
Dan's
all came to
Garage coming
play.
out with Badfinger covers. I was like, oh my god, if they play No Matter What. It was like me and my dad just joking around, and then all of a sudden they're playing No Matter What, and I'm like, I'm like, oh my god. He's like, I'm a huge Badfinger fan, so I was like, oh.
Yeah,
And I talked to them
and
afterwards, and they're like, they were just really like entertained that a kid my age knew all this stuff, which I think is incredible. That these guys were like really excited about someone my age being into them, because
yeah,
they're
and
probably
that's
not
what
used to
we're
that, which is
trying.
awesome.
This year, I want to promote more younger people. It's not
Sweet.
just for
Yeah.
people that went to the Aft.
It's
It's
about rock
for
music.
music.
Yeah.
It's rock and
Yeah,
roll
definitely. I mean,
at its best, and you get to hear for $20,
it's
all
perfect.
day, 9 bands or 10 bands, whatever we could get during the day, and
So what great is my dad's work supports the Ives, so we get like discount tickets, which is perfect.
Oh, okay.
So it works out real good.
Discount
Yeah,
much more than $20.
No, right? So it's perfect. No, it's perfect, guys. There's no reason not to go to this festival because it's incredible. I mean, I'll be there if you want to, meet with me and watch these bands and have a good time.
And all the food trucks and
amazing.
The T-shirts and we try to put on a good show.
I love the culture. I love the idea that old and young could mix and just talk music and have this experience, and you meet new people, and then you're like, my dad ran into the bar guy from Widow Brown's, one of the bartenders that was there. My dad goes, "Oh, it's just been years," and I'm like, it's like, and he's introducing me to everybody.
Yeah, people,
it's like,
both years. I mean, both events. People have brought family members where they actually met there for their reunion. So it's pretty cool.
And a lot of people definitely met there. Like you said, your first wife as well. And I've heard that a ton, like from a couple of people. It's like, yeah, I met my love of my life there. And I'm like, that's so cool.
Oh, yeah. The first night I met my wife at the Fore N Aft. Yeah, that was...
that's something.
That was it.
Hits you with bricks, right? It feels the feeling. It's like, oh, there you go. That's awesome. No, and it's cool because it's like, that's the scene that, they don't have that anymore. And I don't think they'd be able to with all the traffic and everything now. But there's like, I've seen pictures where it's like, it was a narrow, everybody was shoved in and it's like sardines. And it was
I don't
culture.
know. I think some nights I think it was with the back room and the whole thing. It was close to 1,000 people or more.
Wow.
And then on a holiday weekend or a holiday, the line would be a mile long at 12 o'clock at night to get in that place. It was like, and then, you had the Good Rats or Race Choir or Twisted Stiffs showing up.
Sapphire definitely pulling out, just you had these names that drew people in.
And then Carmel had the Rock Palace for a while, but there's no more, places.
And it sucks for younger talent. That's why I'm shouting out the Crystal Bees with the tribute bands, which is great because a lot of people are doing cover stuff now, which is it's amazing. People want to go out and sing the songs that you're doing. And then there's me, who's like writing originals, and we're doing that. But I always enjoy doing covers too, so I can do both. And it's fun it's great to have something where like a dive bar, back then, if you were in a band, you had a place that you made a goal to want to. I want to play there. I want to, I want to get it. If you made it to the Fore N Aft, you made it. Now it's like if you make it at Toad's Place, but it's extremely tough to get into Toad's Place, and it's also not the same anymore. So it's like a lot of the venues that used to be around it, they're not the same. And then I know the Note in Bethel does pretty good for bands. I've talked to the owner of that and stuff like that, but it's still not the same. It's not the old culture where you go in. It's just laws have changed, stuff has changed, and a lot of times you're not, people are now in college forming bands, and where it was back then, it was like right out of high school. Which I find really interesting when times change. So it's just
it's how many times Richie. I had a graduation party in 1975. He graduated in 73. He graduated in 73. He wound up hopping. I had a band at my graduation party. He wound up hopping on stage. So every time I see him, I remind him on
That's
that.
Awesome.
He remembers. So
And it's cool that these artists I know like it was funny at the Blues Fest, like Murray the Wheel, who's played with Richie as well, and Murray's an incredible talent. He came up right up to my dad and he looks at him and he goes, "I recognize you." And my dad's like, "I've seen you like a long time ago," and it might have been at the Fore N Aft. Like Murray might have played the Fore N Aft. My dad might have just been there, but it's just funny because like a lot of people, and it's the connections. Murray actually worked with a guitarist that I used to work with and was in a band, and Murray remembered him. And as soon as I mentioned his name, he just was like, "I like you," and I was like, "Sweet." I was like, "Perfect." But it's just, and also the jacket, because no one wears a Fore N Aft jacket from because it's only from the festival. I mean, it was the guy screen printing asked me how the jacket was. I said, "I'm wearing it right now. I'm gonna have to get a new jean jacket if they do a third one, so I can get the bands on the back." So I didn't get I got a T-shirt for the second one, but I didn't get the screen press for the second festival, so I'll have to get a new jacket. There, so there's my goal. Here's my clothing goal. But hey, we'll wrap it up right here. I appreciate it, Mike. Cool. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
You got it, kid. Keep the music going.
Will do.